what you call the annual operating levy to the commissioner, which is 2.5% of the turnover. Now, so what the service providers are saying, look, tax has to be at one point. We can't keep paying tax at the three levels of government, to the federal, to the state, and to the local government. That's so multiple taxation is also a major issue. Why is it a major issue? It's a major issue because now the service providers need the resources to expand their services. So if you're paying tax at all of those levels, then you probably wouldn't have enough money to reinvest. And not only that, situations where base stations are shut down because people have not paid for those base stations. Now, what does it do? It affects quality of service in those locations. And some of those base stations, some of them actually are hubs that not only provide transmission for that state, but even for some states that are even close to that particular state. So those are some of the challenges. However, it has already been addressed at the National Economic Council level. When we were in Dubai, this issue came up, and the minister and the EBC made a case for government to look again at the issue of multiple taxation.
Because that cuts across board.
It does.
It's not just for telecom sectors. Many businesses in this country are facing multiple taxation. And so there has to be a holistic approach to that one, because if they do that for telecoms, don't you think it will end up anyway? Yes.
Because telecoms actually affects every area of life. I would think that if we can get that right for telecoms, then other areas also, I believe, they can also.
But that does not mean that the laws will not apply to telecom firms whose quality or service is poor.
Yes, no, the law has to apply.
In many ways, I'm listening to you, talk about the challenges that the telecom sector is facing, especially service providers. And it would seem that the challenges that the service providers have is hampering you from performing your duty effectively as a regulator. Is that true?
No, it's not hampering us. Well, we understand the challenges, but we also believe that the service providers also have responsibility in some ways. And one of that is, for instance, an issue of promotion that we had to stop at some point. Now, because these challenges are there, don't do things that will also worsen the quality of service.
Did they give you an excuse for that? I mean, in terms of having to make ends meet and make as much as they can make?
Well, we were told that, yes, they want to give back to the consumers. Huh. They want to give back to the consumers. I mean, it's a way of giving back to the consumers. But we also understood that some of the consumers also had challenges during that period. That, yes, I have 500 naira, I have to spend it, but I'm not able to make my calls. So in the end, I still have some part of that 500 left with me, which I cannot take to the next day. So the idea is that, we saw that challenge there, and we felt that the best way to address it was to, let us look at this issue of promotion again. Look at your networks, look at the challenges, see what you can do to dimension your network to take additional traffic when you have to run your promos. And of course, we observed also that after the ban of promos, there was a noticeable improvement in the quality of service. People at least could make calls and have their calls get through. So, which goes to show really that it impacted on the quality of service.
So is the ban still on?
Oh, yeah, sure, the ban is still on.
At what point do you think the NCC will sit and say, because the way you've structured it, you've given plenty of leeway for, you say, look at the promo and then sit and restructure your service bandwidth in such a way that it doesn't affect quality of service. That's the room that you've given service providers.
And until that is done, the ban will not be lifted.
Do you think that there is a point where the NCC will sit and say, we're doing an analysis of the promos that have been run so far, and we're going to say, these are the kinds of promos that you will be allowed to run, or if you decide to run this kind of promo, these are the parameters within which you must have to be able to run the promos? Yes,
the Consumer Affairs Bureau of the Commission actually had looked at all of the issues of promos. And the ones that are on ban are the ones that will affect quality of service. Any promo that will generate traffic, additional traffic.
Is there any reason why a promo will run if not to generate traffic?
So the idea is that let's address the issue of quality of service. Then we can run the promos. Let's address the issue of quality of service, then we can run promos. Now, you will notice actually that since the van and promo, I'm not saying that the service quality is what it should be. We're not there yet. And each time I have come on this program, I've not tried to say that we are there. No, we don't want to make pretensions that the quality of service in Nigeria is what it should be. We are not close to it at all. But we are progressively working towards that. And these are some of the interventions that are necessary for us to get things right. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm not saying that, look, quality of service is... No, it's not. We have our key performance indicators that have not been met there. But we are progressively going towards the KPIs. You know, and that's what we have said to the service providers. Look, these promos will remain in force. I mean, this ban will remain in force until we notice that we are meeting our KPIs. Because if we are meeting our KPIs, it means that even if there is a drop, it wouldn't be so substantial to affect the quality of service.
What are these KPIs?
Now, the KPIs, you know, these are indicators, you know, that come from measurements taken from the customer.
Are they
premises of the service
can the consumers also help you keep track of these KPIs?
Oh, well, on our website, actually, you can see some of the reports of the past measurements that have been taken and what these KPIs are. One of them actually addresses the issue of congestion. Another one addresses the issue of drop calls. There are a certain number of drops that are permitted per number of calls. So if it's below that, then it's not acceptable. You're looking at something like 99.something%. In some climes, you have like 98%. Because when you have 90%, it means 2% of 108 million lines is a lot. You understand what I'm saying? So a percentage difference in the KPI could mean a lot in a network. So that's why you have, you know, KPIs reading things like 99.9%. So in other words, that maybe just 1 out of 100.
At what point, sorry guys, at what point do you think that we'll be able to get refund for drop calls?
Yes, we have also tried to say in some of our fora, especially our consumer parliament and consumer outreach programs, every consumer has a right, can demand for their right from the service provider, just like it's done in other parts of the world. If you're providing a service to me and I believe I'm shortchanged, I have a right to come to you as my service provider to ask for a compensation. We believe that compensation shouldn't just be that NCC has said service providers should compensate consumers. Consumers themselves can ask for compensation from their service providers. Look, I'm on this service, I have paid for a month, and I discover that by the middle of the month, I'm no longer able to access that service. Can I have a balance for the remaining 2 weeks that I have not used that service? There are certain things that can be initiated by the consumers themselves. And if they initiate it and they're not getting any response, then of course the consumers can escalate it to the NCC. We have always said that the first point of complaint for all consumers is with their service providers. The second level of support, complaint support, comes from the commission.
But
if they are not able to get redress from their service provider.
Sometimes consumers need a certain platform. For instance, if it is the rule that if there is a drop call or you experience a drop call, no charge be deducted from your credit, you know, or nothing be debited from your account. Yeah. The question will be, is there such a rule for a consumer to leverage on if you do go to complain? Upon what basis will a consumer go to a service provider and say, I had a drop call, I think I would like a refund? If you're told there and then that we're sorry we don't do that, how do you get any refund?
Now,